Hello, world. Warmest welcome to World Humanitarian Drive's Inspiring Millions Show. This is a show where we celebrate brilliant minds from around the world who share with us their story, one story at a time. It's our 62nd episode, ready to take steps in caring for our planet, our home. Our special guest is Mr. Luke Jerram, visual artist, creator of sculptures, installations, performance presented to public around the world. We'll get to know his inspiring story in a short while. Thank you for joining us live or on replay. I'm Vivandrada Uflin, your host and Global Media Relations of World Humanitarian Drive. World Humanitarian Drive, also known as WHD, is an international NGO founded in Croydon, UK by British Indian global peace activist, entrepreneur, writer, Dr. Abdul Basit Saeed. The primary vision of WHD is to promote peace, education, and trade harmony initiatives globally among everyone across the world, regardless of race, gender, religion, or nationality, living as one family. WHD is striving for humanity. This Inspiring Millions Show is your show. As always, we encourage you to engage and interact with us. Please help us spread inspiration to the world by sharing this link. Join our discussion by putting in the comments box your comments, greetings, or questions that you would like to ask our guest, Luke Jerram. We would love to read them later on in the show. Wherever you are in the world, let us keep you company and brighten your day as we share love, peace, and goodwill. Happy Earth Day! Today we're celebrating Earth Day with the themes Invest in Our Planet and Harmony with Nature. Our Inspiring Millions show guest, Mr. Luke Jerram, certainly invests in our planet and creates harmony with nature through his artworks, publications, and installations worldwide. Luke Jerram's multidisciplinary arts practice involves creation of sculptures, installations, and live artworks. He lives in the UK, but works internationally. Let us get to know an artist who creates art projects that excite and inspire people around the world, Mr. Luke Jerram. Thank you very much for joining us today. How are you, Luke Jerram?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Thank you so much, and happy Earth Day. So let's get started. Luke, could you please introduce yourself to the world and give a brief story about you?
Yeah, so I'm based in Bristol in England, and I've been living here for maybe 25 years, something like that. I was trained in maths and physics and art at school, but I decided to do an art degree instead. And I graduated in 1997 with an art degree, and I've been making art ever since, really. So this is my 25th year of making exhibitions. I'm based in Bristol. Yeah, I've got this studio, and we have exhibitions both in the UK and then all the way around the world as well.
So Luke, happy 25th year in art and many more years. So could you please take us back in time? So tell us about your early start, your early beginnings. How did you get your start in art?
I suppose I was always quite driven and interested in, and really enjoyed doing drawing and paintings and things like that. And it's just something I was always quite good at, really. And I also found it quite relaxing and exciting. So yeah, I've been doing drawing and making things my whole life. I was sort of one of those children that would take apart radios and televisions to see what was going on the inside. And they would never quite work again properly when you put them back together. So I was one of those sort of curious kids. I remember when my parents went on holiday when I was about 17, and they left me at home. And I made this huge sculpture, about a 10-foot sculpture in the front garden whilst they were away on holiday. We painted it all sorts of bright colors. It was a crazy looking thing. And yes, the neighbors phoned the local newspaper, and the journalist came and took photographs of it. I think the title was Whilst Mum's Away. So they came back and found that I'd used her best bed sheets to make this big sculpture, but I don't think she minded too much. But so yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. It seems to be just kind of what I do.
That's a great start, Luke. So what do you consider your unique selling point as an artist?
Well, I've been making artwork now for 25 years. I will share my screen. You can sort of see what the sort of thing I've been getting up to. So my practice is quite diverse. I do a whole variety of different art projects, some of which are massive. This is a giant sculpture of an inflatable bacteria. So this was made for a university up in Sheffield. A giant palm temple, we'll talk about that later. But I do large artworks and small artworks. I make temporary artworks and permanent artworks. And yeah, I think the reason, my unique selling point, as you say, is probably that I create artworks that are quite accessible. So if you can come at these artworks, if you're a 4-year-old child, you're going to enjoy looking at this earth sculpture that I've made for what it is. But if you're an environmental campaigner or a marine biologist, you'll appreciate them in a very different way. The earth, for instance, is made of high resolution NASA imagery. It's on a motor, so it slowly turns. It's a big 7-meter diameter sculpture. So I think, yeah, having artwork that means different things to different people is really important. So it's not just defined to a very exclusive audience. It's there for everybody to enjoy. And then I tour artworks quite a lot. So, for instance, this sculpture of the moon that I made, I think we've had about 300 exhibitions of this in about 30 different countries. So it's, it has sort of mass appeal, I suppose. And I've learned how to tour an artwork and what makes that work. So, but yeah, Bloomberg Television did an interview with me, did a program about my practice, and they described me as probably the most famous artist you've never heard of. So lots of people will have seen these artworks around, but they don't know they're by the same artist, because a lot of these projects are quite diverse and different from one project to the next. So that's that.
Yes, so I quote this from republicworld.com. There's this quotation that they said, Jerram aims to give an overview effect, a term that was first used by Frank White in the year 1987. So your art promotes a sense of profound understanding of the interconnection of all life, along with a sense of responsibility for taking care of the environment.
Well, that description is an artwork. Well, it relates to this earth sculpture that I've made, basically. So when astronauts first go into space and they look down at the earth, they often become overwhelmed by the beauty and the wonder of what they can see. There's a sort of sense of sublime and a profound experience. And all these astronauts have that same experience. And when astronauts come down to the earth, they often become environmental campaigners as a consequence. But they all share that same experience of this sort of profound, sense of what the earth looks like from space. And that's one of the reasons I made this sculpture, to try to give the public a sense of what that overview effect might be like, what it might be like to be floating above the planet. So you can see, there's a short film here, which is quite nice, of the earth that I made. This is a 10-meter sculpture floating on the water. So I'll play this film and you might get a sense of what it might be like to be floating above the planet. So yeah, the earth sculpture that I've made has been presented in all sorts of different places over the years. We took it to COP. It was used as a sort of backdrop, I think, for many of their conversations that they had there. So that was quite interesting. But it gets presented in different ways. So it gets presented outdoors, goes into kind of cathedrals, and where it gets presented, you know, that context, it affects its interpretation. So if we put it in a cathedral, people will think about it perhaps in relation to religion. Whereas, yeah, at COP, it's very much about the environment. You might put it in science museums as well. And then it also acts as a venue for events to take place beneath it. So you can see here, performances and sort of musical events taking place underneath it as well. So it's very much what I try to do with a lot of these artworks is leave space for other people to be creative. So a lot of these artworks, they leave space for other people to be creative, whether that's through the activities that are underneath them or, from yoga perhaps to science lectures and choirs and orchestras performing. So that's the earth sculpture, Gaia.
That's great. There's another video of Gaia, the one with the people watching it. It's like they feel a sense of connectedness to the planet as well.
Yeah, shall I play that?
Sure.
Okay.
Follow it, this is Houston. It's a good picture of the horizon. We can't see many terrain features as yet. Follow it, Houston. We're beginning to pick up a few craters very dimly. The whole thing is pretty bright.
I was immediately moved to tears. My daughter said to me, "Why are you crying?" I said, "I'm not crying, I'm just humbled."
It was very cool because it was really big and you could lie underneath it and have photos where you hold it.
You come off a busy street and everyone just stops and there's like a sense of stillness as it's spinning around really slowly.
I just felt really proud in a weird way as well.
All of your senses are involved.
It was amazing. You know, you come from normal life and then you get this little glimpse of something behind the door and then you walk into this amazing dark room.
My name is Luke Jerram and I'm the artist behind the Gaia Earth artwork. Humanity has been staring at the moon for 200,000 years. The moon has inspired so much music and mythology and literature in every culture right around the world. Whereas it's only been 50 years that humanity's been able to see our planet Earth, from space as a blue marble floating in the blackness of space.
I was so mesmerised by it.
It's quite awe-inspiring, really.
That mixture of fragility and strength that is there.
We were thinking about how small we were.
And it feels like I'm on the moon and I'm looking at the earth.
It makes us wonder perhaps what we're doing to our world, what it'll be like for our children's children.
It's probably the first time that my son has seen the world in that sort of context. He doesn't understand yet, but he will one day.
It makes you feel very small.
I think we need to save the world.
I'm hoping when people come and see this Earth artwork, they'll realise the beauty and the fragility of our planet, and that actually it's our only home and we really have to look after it.
We don't have time to sit on our hands as our planet burns. For young people, climate change is bigger than election or re-election. It's life or death. It will take radical action to save us. It will take radical action to save us. It will take radical action to save us.
Nature is one of the most exciting, amazing and incredible things in the whole world.
Here we go. We'll close that.
That's very inspiring, Luke. Luke, what is creativity for you? When do you feel most creative?
What is creativity? Well, for me, I do a lot of sort of problem solving. So organizations will come to me and they'll say, well, we want to reach this new audience, or we've got this big space and we don't know what to do with it. or we've got a big festival coming up all about light, what can you do? And so I'll come up with sort of solutions to questions and solutions to problems, really. And that's often how I work. I think if you start off with just a blank sheet of paper, it's slightly problematic. Whereas if someone gives you the ingredients for a new, or a brief for a new artwork, then it's easier as a way of generating ideas for that. So creativity for me is a different way of thinking, but it's also about problem solving.
What role does an artist play in society? What's the role of being an artist in these times?
Well, I think artists have all sorts of different roles in society. We often get, brought in to create paintings and sculptures and things like that. But I think art is also about looking at the edges of society, looking at being able to sort of stand back from society and get an overview, or see society or see the world in a slightly different way. So I think a lot of the artworks I make, they present that. They present an alternative perspective on the planet. Let me see if I can. I will show you an example of that with my urban slide. So, for instance. A few years ago, I made a giant water slide on the middle of the street in Bristol. And I suppose it's about creating, presenting the city as a sort of blank canvas for public's creativity, and thinking about actually, we're all living in these cities, and it's up to us to think about how we use them. And you can think of a road as just a place where cars are, but actually, it's an interesting canvas to think about, thinking about using a city in a different way. Let me show you this film, it's quite fun.
Hi, my name is Luke Jerram, and I'm the artist behind Clark Slide.
I've known Luke for a long time, and I've always admired his way of using art as a way of bringing places alive. The publicity it's got for the city across the world is wonderful, but the real point, I think, is the way it makes people see the city in a new light. Nobody will be able to come down Park Street again without thinking it's not just a place for cars, it's a place for people who enjoy themselves.
We had 96,000 people apply to try and go on the slide, and then out of that sort of electronic hack we pulled 360 names. The tickets almost became like kind of Willy Wonka tickets.
So it was a really good idea because it's great for community spirit in Bristol for artists, and just a great event.
Yeah, and it's a lovely day for it as well. Loads of people supporting it.
I couldn't believe it at first. I thought it was just a bit of a joke, and then I got the actual ticket through, and I was really surprised.
I got the ticket. It's like Charlie Chocolate Factory.
There we go. So you can see art can be about, seeing the world in a different way and presenting that as an opportunity for the public to think about the world in a different way as well. So anything is possible. I think if you're an artist, there's a lot of fun to be had.
That's great to know, Luke, that anything is possible if you're an artist and if you have fun, because that was like a fun event as well. So you're a fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society, and then you're a visiting fellow at the Faculty of Health and Applied Sciences in UWE. You're an honorary doctorate of the University of Bristol. You've been featured in so many publications from around the world. So what do you do to get in your creative zone? Do you have a ritual or schedule that you follow?
Well, I used to have to work. Yeah, I think I often come up with some good ideas just when I'm on the edge of sleep, just when you're waking up or just when you're falling asleep. I think that can be a good time to solve problems and come up with kind of creative solutions. So that's quite good. But these days, I make a living as an artist, and so I have to sort of come to work 9 to 5 and switch on my art brain and just put my head down sometimes and come up with 10 ideas. And it's knowing then which are the good ideas and which are the bad ideas and what's worth pursuing. But yeah, I'm brainstorming ideas for new projects and all the time. And I'm collaborating with all sorts of different organizations, from scientists to medical institutions. I'm working with opera at the moment, with an opera organization, a whole variety of different contexts, developing new artworks for them. So it's a lot of fun. I have a nice time.
It's great to know, Luke. And you've done so many artworks and collaborations. What would you consider your dream project as an artist? What kind of work would you like to do more in the future?
Well, I really like my street piano project. So my piano project is called Play Me, I'm Yours, and it involves putting pianos in cities for people to play. Let's see if I can find a photograph of that. So I've installed about I've installed like 2,000 pianos now in about cities all around the globe, and these pianos act as a blank canvas for the public's creativity. So we'd install it, maybe 10 or 20 pianos across the city, and then anyone can sort of sit down and play them. They act as that sort of blank canvas for everyone else's creativity. We often get artists to decorate them as well, and it's a really uplifting and beautiful project. So many people, it gives so many people a lot of pleasure, and the project has now become part of culture. So you see pianos in train stations and airports all around the world. So for me, that's a good artwork, and often also good artwork will have unexpected outcomes. So it's led to several marriages where people have met for the first time and got married with pianos. It's people have been given recording contracts. We've got Jamie Cullum here playing a piano in Paris. There's a good artwork will have these sort of unexpected outcomes, which are very hard to predict beforehand. So here's a little film from Paris. These look like performers. They must have been heading through the train station when they came across this piano and decided to do an impromptu performance. There's a lot of, projects like that provide so much pleasure to so many people. It's really fun. We've got a band here performing in Munich. watch these guys all day long. But so projects like that leave space for other people to be creative, for me, are where it's happening. And it's all the beautiful things that happen around it. This is in Leicester Square. So yeah, I could show you hundreds. There's been thousands of amazing films made by the public, uploaded to this website, and yeah, and the idea is you put the 20, 30 pianos across a city and see what happens. They've all got the words "Play Me, I'm Yours" on them, and then anyone can sit down and play them, and it fills the streets with music. And for me, that is a nice project, and I'd like to do more like that.
Luke, you're a multi-awarded artist. You've won several fellowships, grants, and awards. For this year alone, you've had Arts Council of England award you with grants for the Arts for Crossings and Hearts for the Arts Award of Earth and Sky. So what do you consider your greatest achievement so far?
Yeah, I don't think it's about awards really. But yeah, like with the moon artwork, which is really nice, it's led to several marriages. And my guess is that there'll be people there who will, some kids will see the moon and it will inspire them to go on to study astrophysics. And that's really fun. And yeah, there was a piano player. He stumbled across a piano when he was about 12, did a bit of busking. And now he's a sort of famous YouTuber and he plays pianos all the time as part of a YouTube channel. So, the artworks I've made, they've had an impact on the world. When we first put pianos in London, you had to have a music license for every single piano, which is a big form you had to fill in. And it drove everyone nuts. And the local MP raised it in the House of Lords. And they were able to change the UK licensing laws then as a consequence of the art project. So it had a real impact in the UK licensing laws. But yeah, I think I do get a buzz out of giving people a lot of pleasure, artworks that make people smile. It's quite addictive.
That's great to know, Luke. So COVID-19 has affected people throughout the world. So how has COVID-19 affected your activities as an artist?
Yeah, so obviously a lot of the touring exhibitions that I made were suddenly cancelled. But I decided to create an artwork called In Memoriam, which is the artwork you can see here. And it consists of 120 NHS bed sheets, which we've converted into flags. And they form a kind of temporary memorial artwork. And yeah, when you see the artwork from above, it has this sort of medical logo. And it acts as a sort of temporary memorial artwork for people to go there and contemplate everything we've been through. And the artwork has been touring the UK for the last couple of years. It also acts as again, a venue for events to take place beneath it. So we've had, choirs performing and poetry readings and, sort of memorial services. So I think it's had its place. It was required really, with lots of cathedrals and cathedrals and cancelled funerals. I think people needed a place to mourn a little bit and a place to contemplate everything we've been through. So this artwork seemed to have a value at that point. The other thing I've done is over the last sort of 10 years, I've made sculptures of viruses and microbiology, and it's this series called Glass Microbiology, and they're all made of glass sculptures. And I've been touring these for many years, and I work with virologists and glassblowers to create these sculptures of viruses, and they're all absolutely accurate within the limits of glassblowing. But last year, we created a sculpture of COVID, and we've been selling these artworks and raising money for Médecins Sans Frontières, which is a charity, working in countries impacted by the pandemic. And we even made a sculpture of the COVID vaccine here as well. So we've raised about £50,000 for charity through this project. So that's really what I've been doing in the last couple of years, is doing what I do best, which is making artworks, but doing them to help benefit other people.
That's great, Luke. So we're going to say hi to our virtual audience. There's Win Wonderful, Tongi Gra, watching from Philippines, Happy Andrada, Mitali Karbakar, good evening and warm welcome from Bangladesh WHD chapter, NP Milio, EM Direkiro, Joanne Garcia, Hearns, and then Tongi Gra has a question for you, Luke. Tongi is saying, it is nice to see how art connects people. It's very inspiring. With a digitalization of the world we live in, especially in artistic expression, NFTs, for example, do you think it can be a threat to physical art with the NFTs?
Well, I think if anything, NFTs are a threat to mankind to a certain degree. I'm going to stop this share a minute. Yeah, there we go. So NFTs are a bit like Bitcoins in that they need to be mined, and they take up a huge amount of electricity to create an NFT, and not necessarily the creation of it, but its development and its growth and how NFTs are shared and the value of them. Huge amounts of electricity goes into them in the same way that Bitcoin does, and they can be. I think it's a real threat to mankind. So you've got, power stations being ramped up using huge amounts of fossil fuel in order to kind of mine Bitcoins. I just don't think it can be justified. We're living in the 6th mass extinction of species on our planet. We're in the middle of a climate crisis. We need to do everything we can to save humanity. And that shouldn't involve doing, silly things like, creating technologies that are going to be really detrimental to the environment. And things like NFTs and Bitcoin are really detrimental to the environment. So they shouldn't be, I don't think they should be. It's hard to uninvent something, but they need to be changed dramatically to make them more environmentally friendly. And but what I try to do anyway, I try to make artworks that people can experience in reality. And there's something wonderful about that. There's just a real big difference between doing doing a picture of a water slide on the middle of the street, and then actually installing a real water slide in the middle of the street. And I think that's the difference. There's all these amazing unexpected outcomes that you get from actually doing stuff by comparison to just doing a Photoshop mock-up or creating a 3D sort of virtual landscape. There's something is wonderful about doing actual things in the real world that has all sorts of unexpected outcomes.
Thank you for your answer, Luke, and thank you for the question, Tongi Gra. And Christine Manlapas is also, hi there, she's watching. So what is the greatest thing about being an artist in the UK, Luke?
Well, in the UK, we are lucky enough here to have something called the Arts Council of England. And the Arts Council, it takes money from the taxpayer and it gives that money to arts organisations across the country. So the Arts Council, they support museums and institutions and festivals and galleries and theatres and opera houses and all those sort of things. A lot of those organisations, they have a bit of money from the Arts Council. And that enables those organisations to employ people like me and all the other thousands of artists that are around the UK to make our artwork and to help subsidise it. So I'm very grateful that in the UK we've got an Arts Council that can allow organisations to commission and work with artists. So I feel like I'm a very lucky boy.
Luke, so what's the best thing, the greatest thing about being an artist?
Well, I suppose it's just about the freedom to think differently and often using your hands and using your creativity, and then being able to share that creativity with other people. I just enjoy that. I like lots of different parts of my job. So I like the developing of ideas, but I also like launching artworks and installing them, and traveling the world sometimes as well. It's great.
Luke, today, the 22nd of April, is Earth Day. Why should people care for Earth? What are ways people should care for Earth?
Yeah, so Earth Day, I've got my sculpture that's touring around. It's in about 9 museums at the moment, just today. But Earth Day, yeah, we're basically living on our planet and sort of exploiting all its resources. We're not doing it in a sustainable way. And we really need to change society quite quickly if we're going to survive this climate crisis. We're going to have runaway climate change, basically. And what that means is that the temperature of the seas and of the air and the atmosphere is increasing. And things like the permafrost in Russia will melt. And when it's gone, it's gone. It's not going to come back. And that releases all sorts of methane from that permafrost into the atmosphere that increases climate change at the speed of it. So you end up with a sort of vicious cycle with one thing tipping off another. So we're really in a very dangerous position, and we really need to change society very quickly to make ourselves more sustainable. And it all feels a bit too scary, and it's too difficult for any individual to deal with. But there are some things you can do. So one thing is we can all look at, if you're lucky enough to have a pension, you could find out where that money is invested and make sure it's not invested in fossil fuels and things like that. And then we can all do our recycling, and we can all, I think I've had this jumper for about 15 years. We shouldn't be, buying clothing that we wear once and throw away. So there's lots of things that we can do to try and make ourselves more sustainable. And I think Earth Day that's what it's for, is to try to give focus to the things that we need to be doing to make ourselves more sustainable for both our sake, but our children's sake and their grandchildren as well.
Those are great messages, Luke. So World Humanitarian Drive has an Honoring the Honorable initiative to identify and recognize individuals and organizations for their contributions to this world by honoring and awarding them. How important is Honoring the Honorable initiative in these times?
Yeah, I suppose any recognition of people who are trying to point society in the right direction, that's a good thing to do. There seems to be a lot of recognition for people who are almost doing the opposite, So you get celebrated for, buying posh cars and, having lots and lots of money, whereas actually we don't need that. We need to be changing society very quickly. And I think anything that we can do by highlighting all the good work that scientists and artists and politicians, the right politicians, are doing, then that's a good thing to do.
We have a question from Happy Andrada, and her question is, as an aspiring artist, do you have any tips how we can secure funds to create our installation pieces? And do you have any advice how people can also support our vision?
So whereabouts are they from? Do you know where they're about?
Philippines, from the Philippines.
Yeah, well, yes. I don't really know the art scene over there, but I think if you can reach out to your particular audience, there's a number of things you can do. You can try to create something that's unique that other people haven't really done before. So you think about how many artists there are making square paintings to go on the wall around the world. There's a lot of those. So you really want to be doing something that's unique, that's going to stand out from the crowd. And then also it's about, I think, connecting with your market as well. There's going to be someone out there in the world who'd be really interested in the artwork that you make. And and your job is to try and reach that person. And you can do that through, Instagram or media, online media or press coverage or whatever you need. But and also I think it's a long game as well. These things it took me about 5 years to work out how to make a living at it. And it does take time to build up that reputation and build up a portfolio of projects so that people can be trusted. So you can be trusted to spend other people's money. So yeah, it does take time. And my first grant that I had was maybe for like £500. And then gradually over the years, you get given more money because you can be trusted to do that. So it does take time.
Those are great tips, Luke. And thank you, Happy Andrada, for the question. So Luke, what are your future plans as an artist?
Well, I'm sort of working with sort of 5 or 6 different organizations at the moment, doing different projects. I think I just carry on for as long as I can, really, and try to do the best I can. I've got a little warehouse now over the road, so I'm going to maybe turn that into an art centre. But yeah, I just carry on doing what I do.
Luke, you also have a call out for Stories on Crossings, your new installation artwork with BBC Radio 4. Could you please tell us more about it and the stories that you're looking for?
Yeah, so this is a commission for like a stately home in the UK that has a big lake on it. And we managed to get some money from the Arts Council, and we're gonna have 10 rowing boats on the water. And then each of those rowing boats will have little speakers in them that will tell stories. So you'll be able to get into a rowing boat and row around the lake and listen to these stories from around the world that will that should be inspiring. So we're going to have stories from people who've crossed the Mediterranean from Africa and escaped sort of dictatorships. So we'll have stories from them. We're going to have stories from people who've rowed across the Atlantic. We've got stories from all around the world, so we are still keen to have more stories to choose from. So if anyone's interested, they can go to my website and follow the link and submit a story.
Thank you, Luke. And here's a question that we always ask our guests. And that question is, what is your inspiring message to the world?
Oh gosh, what's an inspiring message to the world? Well, I think differently and be kind and support one another and do what you can to make your society a better place.
Thank you so much, Luke, for honoring us with your presence, creativity, sharing your words of wisdom, and inspiring the world with your story in honor of international recognition for your virtually and persistently serving and inspiring humanity with your noble deeds. World Humanitarian Drive would like to award you with an Inspiring Humanitarian Award.
Oh, look at that. That's amazing. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Luke. And it's presented today on Earth Day, 22nd of April. And also, we would like to share an inspiring quotation by our guest, Mr. Luke Jerram. Luke, would you like to read it for us?
Oh, yes. Okay. My job as an artist is to create a set of memories for people. Public artworks can change the atmosphere of a place. Art needs to be there for everybody. Earth is an ecosystem we urgently need to look after, our only home. We urgently need to wake up and change our behavior. We need to quickly make the changes necessary to prevent climate change.
By Mr. Luke Jerram. Is there anything else you would like to add or anything you'd like to say to our audience?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's interesting that quote. To prevent climate change, I mean, the climate is already changing. We're already there. What we need to do is avoid runaway climate change. And that's the important thing we need to do. And I hope that this talk today might connect with a few people and help them inspire, find out about what's going on in the scientific world, find out about the science of climate change, and then it's easier then to do something about it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Luke Jerram, visual artist, creator of sculptures, installations, performance presented to public around the world. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion with Mr. Luke Jerram, that it motivated you to express your creativity, use your talents and skills to inspire the world. Here on Inspiring Millions Show, we present you with brilliant people from around the world. So feel free to connect with them on social media, and together, let's make a difference in the world. We definitely all need inspiration, especially in these times. Listening to people's stories enrich our lives. If today's discussion inspired you, please like it, share it, send us a comment. Do share with us your takeaways from today. Follow us on our social media accounts. Click subscribe on our YouTube channel, WHD Media. Visit our WHD website, whd.org.uk, for more inspiring events. Today marks the second year that I've joined WHD family when I was one of the winners of COVID Times Poetry Competition. So thank you to WHD for the many opportunities that you give, including hosting the show. WHD would like to greet all those celebrating their birthdays, including Lourdes Villanueva, and special milestones this week. Happy celebrations on behalf of WHD team, especially those working behind the scenes. WHD Chairman Dr. Abdul Basit Saeed, Director of Global Operations, Ms. Sarah Wilson, our 12 Honorable Secretary Generals. We thank you, our virtual audience from around the world, for joining us and supporting our show. This has been World Humanitarian Drive's Inspiring Millions Show. I'm Viva Andrade Flynn. Please join us again next week. We will have an interesting discussion with Assistant Professor Sudesh Balakrishnan of Malaysia as we inspire the world here on Inspiring Millions Show.